Graders Game, episode 34. I'm Daya Miller.
Jay Smith.
Chris Vale.
And we're back. Yes, we were in Ganawage for, when were we there? Like what, it's been like 2 weeks now? Has it been 2 weeks?
I'd say about that,
Out there, yeah.
Okay, so it's been 2 weeks since we've all been as together as a unit. However, it's been a little bit longer because we were in Ganawage, but we've had some episodes come out. How'd you guys feel about the episodes?
I want to thank Ganawage, the community, the Lacrosse people in Ganawage. You know, ran into old friends, made some new friends. They treated us great. I think overall it was a good experience and a good trip. You know, they got a lot of good local talent, and I can't wait to see who else comes out of that community.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I think they came out good, and obviously a lot of people like the trade year Cole Marquise one, but then I think they learned about some new players and then some of their fan favorites, and even somebody today was like, "Oh, I just got done watching the one about Ava, the girl player." So I think it was cool. Like it touched a lot of bases out there.
Yeah, I thought the response of like all the people was kind of like they were glad that like actually I was glad too for editing purposes that we didn't put everything out like kind of how we were gonna put out like just day after day after day, because I felt like I had more time to kind of make sure that everything kind of made sense, because there were some parts that like just didn't make sense. We got off topic, and like that comes to my very first topic that I want to get into is like you know, in like lacrosse here we're all not media trained. Like we don't have media training. The players don't. Maybe some of them do, but like, and then for you guys, like, I want to start talking about the media a little bit. When's your first experience, I guess, being in front of a camera?
In front of the camera, probably a picture of me in the Brantford Expositor in 1980.
Oh, like 1980 was not born, but I'm sure.
No, it is different. I don't like to take away from this show by bringing up the other show I'm on, but that was the first time I was in front of the camera, like really intense. And by intense, I mean for long periods of time. One of the first things that I have to realize, and I've said it to a few guests, is don't even worry about the cameras. Just talk to us like we're sitting at home in your living room. As far as that goes, that's a big thing for me, anyways. Is I got to remember these cameras aren't here. And just talk to you guys, give you my honest opinion, not be nervous. I mean, it comes as you do it longer. Like we've had guests who were so nervous to start with, and by the end of the episode, they're just relaxed. They're at home. They even say, "Oh, I was nervous." Well, you can't tell. But to me, that's the thing about it is when you're on one side of the camera or the other, it's different. Like the guys that we have operating these, they're the magic makers. Yourself doing the editing, you're the magic maker. Chris and I just have to sit here and look pretty.
Yeah, like, yeah. Then how'd you feel about it? Like, you know, like, is this your first experience being in front of like a camera, podcasting, media, anything? Have you ever done anything like this outside of, I don't know, what you've done?
The one thing I did back in the day was more or less like over the phone. It was like a CLAX talk or whatever, but it was more over the phone interviews where the one guy was able to sync it in, and then it was a lot of like writing stuff like that that I've done media wise.
Okay, so this is the first time you've had like big cameras on you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about it?
Oh, it's all right. Like I think even like you said, the first time I came on, I was a little nervous and stuff, and then everybody gets a little nervous, and then you just kind of warm up to it.
Yeah. How has like the perception been of the community for you?
Yeah, lacrosse.
Like the lacrosse community, Six Nations community, even going outside. I imagine like your father probably watched the show, right? Like, what's his reception?
Like
of it?
yeah, he likes it. He was even really impressed by all the sponsorship and like the backboard you had last game and stuff. It was like, oh wow, he's like the show's really professional and seems to keep growing and stuff like that. And just even guys in general, people, buddies from Colorado, guys from New York and stuff. I know, like I always see a lot of likes or just personal messages and stuff like that saying things are going good and stuff like that.
Yeah, I always like to check up on how everyone's doing with this new. It could be new. You know, maybe for yourself, you've been in front of the camera. So you kind of can walk, you know what it's like to walk out there, and people might be like, oh, you're from the other show, right? Mm-hmm. And then, you know, Chris, like, you know, this might be new or whatever. So I always like to check in. And even for the players who are watching this, who might be like, you know, I don't think I'm ready yet. I don't think my story is big enough, or what have I done type of thing to be on that show. Like, I wouldn't say that. I would say that, like, every person who comes on the show has a story to tell and has a unique journey. So, like, whether you're like Indigenous or not Indigenous, or whether you're like the best player or not the greatest player, I feel like everyone's story like really has potential to help this podcast grow and help lacrosse grow in general.
Even kind of like we were just talking about off camera about like how many people come up and say like, "Hey, you're from the podcast," just and that, and maybe like I was really surprised. Sometimes not as surprised, but still get like even just a gentleman last week. He was from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, and he was just at the Chiefs game, and I was like, "Oh, you come all the way from Halifax?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're from the pod, right?" And stuff like that. Or a guy I dealt with through work doing stuff on the phone emailed me after I sent him out a bunch of stuff, and I was like, "Oh, hey, you're from the podcast too. I love the show and stuff." So it's cool, right? We get a lot of all over North America, really.
Yeah, it's from coast to coast for sure. Because I've met people that are also from the East Coast and the West Coast, and they're say the same things. Like we watch all the time. We're good. I was in a different town for a game yesterday. Matter of fact, had two people from the opposing team come up and say hi and tell us that we're doing a great job, and I'm very appreciative of that. You can't turn fans away, because without fans watching, we wouldn't be here. So I mean, hats off to everybody that watches. Tell all your friends.
Yeah, definitely help us grow this game and help grow this podcast, because we're trying to do like really cool things for like the lacrosse community as a whole, and then of course for Six Nations as well, because we're on Six Nations. We love Six Nations. But this brings me to like I guess my first topic. The way you carry yourself on the floor, right, is the kind of like the way you can carry yourself off the floor. Or I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but what I'm trying to get at is that like it's good that like you think about that, like, oh, you can't turn like a fan down, right? Because like they're all fans. We all love lacrosse and stuff like that. So like I think about like when players are sometimes like they're acting out on the floor, or they're acting out outside off the floor, they don't think about like they're representing the whole community. Like they're representing their whole team, because you do one bad thing and they're just thinking, oh yeah, that whole team's like that. So like I want to stress on players that like when you're out there, you're representing your team. That you're representing your community. You're representing a much more than just yourself. And then like even us like walking around the arena, I know kids come up to me, they want fist pounds, they want to take pictures. They send us messages saying they made their first YouTube account because they're like, oh, I'm just so happy that I have a show that's for me. And like some of these kids are very young. I go on there and be like, oh, like this kid literally is young, made their first YouTube account. Or kids telling us that like, oh, like I go to sleep listening to you guys. And then parents coming up to us saying that, oh, like, I tell my kids to listen to you. It's okay to listen to them. If they swear, it's okay, because I know it's coming from a good place. And I know that, like, we were trying our best, right, to not swear. We're trying our best to be the best representatives we can, but we're all still human. Mm-hmm. And, like, all these players out there are all human. So, like, I just want to stress with, when we get into media, when we have players coming on here, to know that we have roles and responsibilities with this platform. And then that we should all take that, very seriously when we're walking outside of this podcast. And I'm just glad to hear that you guys are.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because literally an hour before I came here to film this, I had somebody come up and ask, why don't we discuss more of the community issues on here? And I said, first and foremost, our focus is on the game of lacrosse. That's why it's called the creator's game. We could get into every topic around here and probably have very lengthy episodes, but are they about the creator's game? I don't know. Some of them could lead to them. Some of them may cause issues within players that lead to what you were just talking about, how you carry yourself on the floor, on the bench, how the community sees you, how other people see your community because of it. But I just told him at the end of the day, my opinion on that, on other community issues, I have an opinion, but this ain't the platform to do it.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Like, I'm a little bit more vocal. I'll go on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at Dea Miller. I'm very vocal about my political takes on stuff. But yeah, this isn't the platform for me to go out there and be political on that. Well, we're gonna get into some lacrosse, because I know Vales is over there hurting right now. He wants to talk lacrosse. He's been itching. So what's been going on? Tell me what's been going on in lacrosse lately.
I know one of the things was, the Chiefs, they've been kind of rolling and kind of beating everybody pretty good. They have a big game tomorrow versus Peterborough.
I seen you came full attire.
Yeah, not cheering for one of our good buddies, right, Colton Marquise. He ended up leaving Peterborough, and now he's on Ganawagi Mohawk Senior B. So, like, hey, that was a good player that was with Peterborough for the last victory over Chiefs, now gone. And they just got back Casey Tarbell, and Kellen LeClaire just came back to the Chiefs, so they really haven't had have to had AP anybody anymore. This is pretty much their full lineup. Cam Wires from the Bandits, he was supposed to come Chiefs, but he stayed PLL. He scored a goal in his first game back with the Archers, and I think tomorrow night will be a really good game, and then it rolls into Wednesday night where the number 1 seeded Orangeville Northman and Tree Deer come to town to face the 2 seeded Arrows, who really turned things around this year and are having a great season. So I think those are 2 back-to-back games that, the community should definitely go out and watch, because one thing, like we were saying, we were noticing seems there'll be a lot less fans this year at games. I don't know if maybe some of the teams can get some, I was thinking family packages or something like that, or a lot of people pick and choose, where a lot of these games with these great players aren't as packed as you would think. And I think these next 2 nights, like the community and stuff, should definitely pack the arena for.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Chiefs games is kind of like my nights off, right? Like I do so much with all the other teams that like that's like my night off. I'm just chilling with my family or whatever. But like I do go to the games. Like I'll sneak away and I'll go to the game, whatever. And yeah, I look at the demo. I look at the demographic of the room. I look at the people that are attending. Nothing wrong with the demographic. However, I'm just like I'm looking for the younger generation to be out there, because if you want to grow the game, you need some of those young players out there that are actually looking up to these like really big athletes. So like like what do you think that like could bring more fans out or could make it more exciting, I guess?
Like I thought, even like you said, just some family packaging, maybe just kind of, it's tough if you have, you go wife, husband and a couple kids, and then you got to, go to bow hunters and kind of spend up on some food, and it could get costly at times. So maybe just kind of some fan packaging, and how the Chiefs or some of these other teams maybe could do some autograph nights, right? Let the players kind of stay on the floor and sign for kids, or maybe they can rent out the upstairs banquet hall area and kind of set some tables up and kind of just make the fans more, a part of the team kind of thing, and kind of, hey, get to see like, oh, this is my favorite players, Randy Stotts, or that Dalen John Hill is really tearing up for Arrows. Maybe some kids I'm really looking up to number 66, and then you can meet him in person and get the autographs of guys. And I mean, even too, like I noticed maybe get some more minor nights. I know like there's some paperweight nights going on, and maybe even just kind of some more contests of kind of winning. Hey, you win gloves or win a stick or something like that, and kind of draw some more people in. And even the Rebels, like it was a pretty good crowd, I thought, on the Friday, and then they had a hell of a weekend, right? Winning 2 close games Saturday, Sunday, because now I wanted to give them a shout out for sweeping Hamilton, and now they move on to the second round and have to see who they face. Most likely Elora, Jay's favorite team. So
The Elora Hawks.
Yeah, I see. Look like Elora. Like I know they look like they killed London one game. I don't know if they were up 2-0, and so it looks like they'll probably be waiting to see Elora once they close out that series.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. I heard culture in there. Has that ever come up with like Rivermen and stuff like that? Like, oh yeah, like what, like has anyone ever said like what is the Rivermen like nowadays? Like I feel like there's a lot of teams that are trying to like recreate moments, recreate years, or recreate legacies, and like we need to do it like how they did it. But like has any of the teams, and this goes for Rebels, Arrows, Warriors, Chiefs, like everyone, like has any of the teams said who do we want to be going forward instead of just trying to recreate moments?
I think for the Rivermen, one thing that comes up is we always look for ways to bring in fans too. One of the reasons why we moved to the ILA is because it's a bigger venue, can hold more people, has a better air conditioning system, but the players have asked again, when can we move back to the Six Nations Sports Memorial Cultural Center? Because for them, it's more historic there. They feel more comfortable there. They feel, the whole nostalgia going. There was talk last night from the players, I won so many Zone 9 championships there, and this is where I want to be a President's Cup champion, is in this arena instead of this arena or whatever. Going off the whole fan base thing, you've heard it for years. I've heard it for years. You've probably heard it for years, Vale. You've probably heard it too, Dea, and it was always Rebels, Arrows, Rivermen, Chiefs. The B teams always seem to have more local talent. The A teams, I get it. You're trying to build a winning team, so you bring in players from outside. Chiefs do it. Arrows do it. Rivermen do it to an extent. Rebels do it to an extent. but it seems the B teams have more of the local talent. Now, having said that, we're very big on if you're going to play for the Rivermen, you're playing for the love of the game and because you want to play. We don't have a wallet. We can't really pay players. Other B teams are alleged to have paid players. I can't say who because I don't know. And again, it's all amateur leagues. So, but that's the long and short of it. Is for me is, do we want to try to relive the 2019 Rivermen, or I say no, because these guys aren't those guys. It's like the Chiefs in their first run in the early '90s. Look at the players they had. They had Troy Cordingley and John Tavares, and they had all these great players. They won Man Cups 3 years straight. Does this year's Chiefs or last year's Chiefs want to be those Chiefs? I'm going to say no, because those guys aren't these guys. The game's evolved. I get caught up and guilty of still trying to pass on some old school lacrosse, and I get told all the time the game's evolved. I don't know if that'll work anymore, which is fine. Okay, let's see if it does or it doesn't. Our bench staff, our assistant coaches, Timmy Bumbry and Roger Weiss, have both played for the Chiefs in the past, so they know what it takes to crack that roster in MSL or Senior A. Roger, he's a little younger than me. He has a better grip on the modern game, today's game, than I do. Timmy does too, as he's evolved as the game's evolved. But Timmy's one of those old school guys, and sometimes you just have to go back to the old school ways, and that's where we are. We want to continue to be the team we are today. Looking back, it'd be nice to have those same victories past teams have had, but to do that, we know what we have to do to get there. So I don't think it's reliving old glory. I think it's trying to build on new glory.
Yeah, I'll take that. That's pretty good. What's your thoughts, Chris?
Would you say, too, even like you said, Rivermen have pretty much a new team, very younger, right? Had to change the core up a little bit. But you guys had kind of gone back to using the old Rivermen symbol where it's the guy in the boat and stuff more than the guy on the hat. Was there a reason kind of for that rebrand?
Prettier logo.
I know it was kind of like you bringing back those early championship days.
Bottom line is it's a nicer logo. This logo, a lot of people don't realize it, and maybe it's not true, but I was told that this logo is the founder of the team, Cap Bumbry, when he was young. That was his hairstyle when he played. So that is a caricature of Cap. So they went with that for a couple of years in honor and respect to Cap. I mean, I still go to him for advice because he was the Rivermen's first GM. And the man has, like, Google him, the man has many accolades. Going back to that old Rivermen logo, it's a nicer logo. We had this talk about the logos prior to Cheryl's passing, and that was one of the things that she had also said too. So it's kind of a let's go back to that old logo because it is a nice logo. Let's go back to this for this, and it was one of the things that Cheryl had talked to us about too. So I mean, we started going back to the old logo before Cheryl's passing, but to me now it just means that much more.
And I know that your son was in the lacrosse world news there. And I know you want to get to that topic.
First of all, you guys saw the video?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I watched it.
My son, Owen, had sent that video to me. He had told me all about what happened, gave me his side. And, of course, it's father and son. You're going to hear from your son. You're going to stick up for your son. I have yet to talk to anybody about it. I saw the video. What I get from the video, and am I being biased? Likely, because it is my son. But from where the video starts, for those that don't know, my son plays for the Chaos in Senior C. They were playing against the Tynanega Wolfpack. Team started by a good friend of mine, Hannah Brandt. They were playing on Saturday, and where the video starts, my son Owen is standing there trying to basically block the goalie's vision and block him from passing the ball. In my humble opinion, that goalie made no effort to pass the ball. He made every effort to slash Owen in the ribs, and that's what he did. And dropped Owen. Owen dropped like a stone. Boom. The video shows a bit of a little bit of a dust up. I don't think any real punches were thrown or anything. You see Owen get up, take his helmet off. He's walking away, helmet's in his hand. They're chirping. He's chirping. Goalie's chirping. Everybody's chirping. Teams run out, pushing and shoving. Camera pans over. They're pushing and shoving. Some Wolfpack players are at the Chaos bench, but the benches were pretty close together. I don't really know what happened in that game. I wasn't there. I didn't get to see. I didn't get to really hear it. And I know my son Owen. He's been on the show. People have said he plays like the way Brad Marchand plays hockey. So Owen is a bit of an instigator. He knows how to get people going. He knows, he's got mad chirps. I get it. That's his style.
He's got mad chirps.
He does. That's his style. His job, and it isn't even a job that's given to him. He knows he's going to go out. He's going to irritate people. He's going to get under their skin. He's going to do what he does, draws penalties, takes penalties. That's his game. And that is the extent as I'll defend him, because to me, he's a player that I would love to have on my team because he does that shit. He's a player, one of those players where you love to have him on your team, hate to play against. He might not get a lot of points through the year, but if he's causing you to get 5 or 10 penalties, he's did his job. Now, having said that, from that incident, again, I can only base it on what the video shows me because I wasn't at the game. From that incident, Owen got 2 games suspension. To my knowledge, and I might be wrong, but to my knowledge, that goalie got nothing.
Okay, so and then now you just said that that your son will irritate someone.
Uh-huh.
So your only issue is that the goalie didn't get no game suspensions or penalties.
To my knowledge, maybe he did, and I don't know about it.
So if he gets the exact same suspension, as Owen, are you perfectly okay with it?
Watch the video. Should he only get 2 games for what could be interpreted as malicious intent to injure?
Well, no, I think it looked like he was chopping at him.
Exactly.
It didn't even look like he was trying to throw the ball. And then I'm sure if there was a wide angle lens of where the ball landed, I'm sure he didn't even pass it to somebody.
No.
Probably went way over in the stands or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, just by looking at what he did.
But when Owen got to the arena the next day, he was told he had a 2-game suspension. I can't remember if he said it was a gross misconduct or a match penalty, but he got 2 games. They said for throwing his helmet. If you watch that video, he didn't throw his helmet.
Do you feel like it's a league attacking you because it's your son?
I mean, I could say that, but I don't know if the league knows he's my son until now.
Okay.
Would you also say, too, one of the minuses maybe of being that tournament style, you can't really wait a week or 2 to kind of appeal anything, right? He kind of gets those 2 games suspension. He's got to serve him that day when he finds out the day after the incident, where if it's maybe Riverman, you play next week or the week after, you can kind of go back to your commissioner and stuff and show the tape and, hey, here's really what happened.
Well, here's the thing. Anything under 5 games, you can't appeal anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the OLA rule. And I know each league has their own separate rules because that league has thrown their rules in my face several times over the years when I've asked why this OLA rule doesn't apply or whatever. But, I mean, that's neither here nor there right now. But I will say, you're right. That happens quick. If it happens if it's a tournament weekend that they're scheduled and it happens on a Saturday, they have to have those suspensions doled out by the next day if there's any. I totally get that. However, if they watch the same video, and again, I don't know what was said on the floor because Owen was told he got a gross or a match, got 2 games for throwing his helmet. Watch the video. He didn't throw his helmet. If he did, he threw it on the floor because he didn't throw it at anybody. Now then, if you go on the Game Sheet app, which everybody has to use nowadays, and I absolutely hate it, it says that he got 10 minutes for taunting, I think it said. So there's a big discrepancy there in taunting and throwing a helmet. Huge difference.
I was going to ask, too, but I was going to say, can they buy back games in Senior C? But you said you can't buy any games back in OLA anymore.
No.
But you still can in Can-Am, though, it sounds like, but just not OLA.
I don't know.
OLA rule, I guess.
That league over there confuses me.
Yeah.
They got different roster rules and everything.
You said you can't buy back 2 games, though, just the 1, I guess. But
I don't know, but I know Owen's coach submitted that video the next morning, and I guess that was their way of appealing. Still left it at 2 games. But you know what? He served them. It's done. It's over with. Whatever. I know that he's hurting because of that being hit like that, but I also know that he went back the next day to play because he hadn't been told he was suspended. So, I mean, kudos to Owen for being a trooper, for going back and wanting to play. But I want to know what that goalie got. And I'm not making this about an us versus them. I'm making this about there's video evidence of a pretty good slash. I don't care who it is. What did they get as far as being penalized?
Like I said, too, it looks like the Chaos have a bit more of a better record than Tynanega. It was like 2-9 Tynanega, and the Chaos looked to be 10-1.
8-1-1.
8-1-1, yeah.
So what normally is the process for this? Like, you kind of mentioned what the process is, but like now that the videotape is out, now that they're gonna like, can they kind of go back and they can't give them games? I already took them away, but like, what would you like to see happen then?
I would like to just see fairness. I mean, I get it. Like I said, my buddy Heine started the Tynanega Wolfpack. I got friends that are on that team. It's nothing against the team per se. It's the actions of one player. Going back to, do you represent your team, your community, yourself, all this and all that? I'm not holding anything against the Wolfpack, but I want to know if that player got anything, and if so, what was it, and if not, why? I can reference back to 2023 when I was in that league with the Tomahawks. We had a player, we had discussed this incident on prior episodes, who hit a guy behind the net and got a major penalty that incident and got one game. Funny thing is, it was against the Chaos. Hit a guy behind the net, knocked him out. Got a 5-minute major for that hit and got suspended one game. Served that game, played the next games on the next day. 3 weeks later, as we're coming into the next scheduled tournament weekend, I get an email from the commissioner saying that they reviewed his penalty and suspended him a total of 4 games, so he had 3 more games to serve. So how was that fair? So my thing is, if they can do that in 2023, in 2025, why can't they review that and then give this goalie something if they're going to give him anything at all? That's my question is, I mean, should I say the league is biased? I'm probably going to get raked over the coals for it. I'll say yes. I'll reference back to when I got suspended from that league for sharing a social media post. That's all I did. Lane argued with them over playing an exhibition game with the Chiefs and then trying to come back to Senior C. I think it was 2021. And they told him basically, no, you can. If you're good enough for MSL, you can't play in this league. He got suspended for bullying because he asked for the rules in writing that state that. They still haven't produced them, but they would not let him play because he was good enough to be in MSL. Fast forward to last year, good buddy of mine, Andy Campbell, played Owen Sound MSL and was still allowed to come back and play Senior C last year. So why do the rules change for different teams in that league? That's my question.
Yeah, I don't think you're actually going to ever get any answers from that league, though.
We know it.
Yeah. But, no, I definitely hear what you're saying, though, because at the end of the day, like, it's kind of like, especially for Owen, he goes out there the next day just wanting to play. And it's like he's not the one who did anything wrong. He's out there chirping. Yeah, okay. Like, if he's chirping, he gets it. He serves his penalty. He right? Like you said, that's what he's doing. He's doing his job. That's what he's there for. But, like, he came back to play. He wasn't even really that upset. Probably, I would assume. I don't know.
Well, you didn't know he was suspended.
Yeah,
so.
That's what I'm saying. Though, like, most players would be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna." Not most players. I think everyone would come back, but like some people might be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna go back to that." Like, what the heck? But like, to still want to go back the next day and play and be like, "Nah, I'm just gonna go back. It's another day, whatever." So yeah,
and I'll put it out there again. In that video, I didn't see anything that Owen did to deserve to get whacked like that. Now, having said that, here's a barrel moment. I'll look down the barrel of the gun and say, if there's anything that he did, number 5 for the Chaos, if there's anything that he did to provoke that to get slashed like that, show us the video.
I thought you were going to say leave a comment and let us know.
Yeah. And also
and
leave a comment and let us know
Yeah.
and subscribe. Yeah, there we go. And also, since we're talking about altercations, there was another one with the, I think it was like a week ago with the women's league or something like that. Someone got slashed in the Schweeken, like right in the head or something.
Oh, the girls U22 team. A couple weeks ago.
I just seen the video. I seen a video and right away, like I seen the comments, and I'm a comment person. I'll just go read the comments for the video sometimes. But a lot of people were saying there's a longer video, so I was kind of like the video that I seen kind of made Six Nations look bad. But apparently there's a longer version. So if you know the whole story, can you kind of give us a breakdown?
Something I say, or something was about that the St. Catharines girl might have been saying stuff to the Six Nations girl in a longer video, and then kind of the tussle ensued, and then it looked like the girl, I guess, didn't, or they're saying she didn't mean to slash that girl in the face, but this team has history. Last year they were in Hagersville for a game, and they fought then where a St. Catharines girl got her leg broken. So I was told that last weekend they were going to have to play again. And supposedly some OLA officials were going to have to be in the stands just because of this kind of history and kind of the black eye on the league and the teams, especially now also too with it going viral on Lax Tilly's Instagram account. And I got talking about this more with somebody last week. I said, do you think there's so many fights in, especially like these U22, Junior C, Junior B, because of these Instagram accounts and all these kids want to go viral nowadays? I'm like you said, there's Lax Tilly, there's this one. It seems like all these kids want to do stuff for the gram, right?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. And like Instagram's like a yin. You have to take the good and the bad, right? Or like even media, like, well, it's all media, right? But yeah, like, using Instagram to become a better player might not actually make you a better player. It might actually be the detriment of your career because you think that, oh, you're doing it for the gram. You go out there and you get in a fight, and then your career is over and you don't actually get to score a goal because you're doing something for the gram, not for your career.
Definitely. There was a other video, I don't know if you've seen, was Aqui and West Durham in their playoff game. The West Durham player slashes the Aqui guy on the ground deliberately, looks like in the head. And then when they slow it down, first that West Durham player cross-checked the Aqui player in the back of the head. Then when he's down, slashes him. So that was a fight, and it looked like more of Aqui standing up for their defenseless player, right? That could have been injury, and that was more of an answering the bell kind of fight, not just a stupid tussle.
Yeah, and then there's like so many different accounts now, like tagging us and stuff. It's kind of like a thing. Like people will just tag us in it, and it'll be like someone's highlight reel, or it'll be a fight, or it'll be like just some random media or something like that of someone wanting us to attend something or talk about on the podcast. But yeah, like what's your thoughts on that? There's I'm sure, I don't think any of the players on Rivermen are doing anything for the gram. They don't seem like they're doing anything. For the gram.
Even in minor, I've never as a coach. Well, then again, when I was coaching minor, Instagram and they were just taking off. These social media platforms were just taking off. But I don't think we've ever told any players go out there and become a highlight reel. And I would hope that coaches in minor aren't doing that now either. It happens because everybody has a cell phone, everybody's filming, everybody's doing this, everybody's doing that. I get it. But you're right. Some kid may go out there, make one bonehead mistake, and be done for the rest of his career because of it. I'm not going to condone it. Fights happen. I get it. Tempers flare. I've lost my shit in a game and got booted out too. I just got done saying I got kicked out for a whole year. But from a senior B level, we're not going to tell guys to go out there just to make a, let's see you become a Instagram famous for this. We don't tell them that.
Have you guys even had any fights this year? Like, I haven't even really seen much.
There was a little bit of a Tilly leading up to Wes Whitlow being suspended.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was when was it last week? Last week when I was away, I wasn't at the one game. Kessler Doolittle got in a little bit of a tilt and let some poor fella have it. I think it was against the
He's a big boy too, so like, oh shit, that guy got beat up.
Oh yeah, Kessler has been an enforcer. There's a huge video of him in the Minto Cup fighting. Is it Clark Peterson or Jackson Subak?
Did he body slam somebody?
Subak, Jackson. Like you said, full gear off. Suplexes him, and that Jackson was known to be a bit of a fighter and still in the NL. And that's just sort of. It seemed like a lot of fights have been, even like you said, senior B. Not a lot of fights. Everybody's out there to play. Where, like you said, or we talked before about these kids and the inner aggressions of even U17 and 15 kids all kind of wanting to fight it out. Where Junior A. I've only seen that one fight in Whippy, and that was actually a good fight where everybody took everything off, even their jerseys, and like you said, it wasn't just helmet and gloves, kind of helmet boxing on the floor.
Well, and there's you get a little overheated, tensions flare, you fight. It's drop of the hat kind of thing. It happens quick, or like you said, answering the bell. Somebody hurts your teammate. Some people may leave the bench and end up in a fight. Sometimes next shift. There's a player out there because he's out there to settle the score. That stuff, it happens, but personally, I don't think anybody should be doing it just for highlight reels and likes.
And there's even like another video I seen on TikTok. There was like a kids account or something like that popped up. But like you said, almost too, where I'm sure those parents in the stands were like, "Oh, it's Six Nations. That's why there was a fight." But I felt bad for the Six Nations player because he was kind of jumping to do a goal. This looked like to be like U15, like they were pretty young. And that I think it was versus Hamilton. That looks like that player. He hits the kid in the back as that kid's in the air shooting. So he hits the goalie. And next thing you know, the goalie's pummeling him. And then that kid is kind of grabbing at him. So it looked like to be just like some helmet and gloves punching. But Six Nations got kind of into it with that Hamilton team. And I was like, that kid hit the Six Nations player into the goalie. And then now he's mad that the guy hit the goalie. So it's like,
that happens all the time.
Yeah. And it's
That happened, and I tagged you guys in that one video, and I said who threw the first punch.
Yeah.
Davin Bunbury got hit from behind into Deacon Knott, and Deacon actually threw the first punch. And then there was kind of a little line brawl in our game, and nothing really happened. There was a little pushing and shoving and a couple punches thrown, but that was the only real scuffle we had.
And then, you said me and Dave were sitting with the last two games, and last game they beat up Colberg. Latrell Harris made that really nice goal, and that goalie Colberg fell. Tyson Bell's pushing guys, and nobody even touched him. I was like, he was just anticipating somebody's going to grab Latrell, and then all those guys were like, "Whoa, we're not even trying to touch anybody."
That goalie,
Bunch of bullies.
Lane Haruska.
Yep.
Yeah, I seen that. The same video that he's talking about. Yeah, I seen it. I was like, look at those guys. They're just trying to get up. You keep pushing them while they're down. You're just, you bunch of superstars, bullies, you guys.
And that was a good fight. Or like, I guess they said that player was chirping, and they were saying Biles and stuff beforehand was like, you better stop, and he was coaxing them on where they knew that guy's not a fighter, but he should have maybe shut his mouth. Where that's when they said Biles was like, you hit Shane Jackson from behind, and then one punched him right and cut his face open, and see you later.
Yeah, I seen that on the gram. But yeah, not everything needs to be for the gram players. Like, just go out there and just leave it all on the floor, have a good time, make your parents proud, make your community proud. That's all you got to do. At the end of the day, man, if you go home and you sleep good at night and you're like, I had a good game, I'm alive to play the next day, I'm cool with that.
See, 10, 15 years ago, videos were made of games and of players to make highlight videos to send away to coaches, to send away to schools, to send away to teams higher up, to show their best of their abilities, not to become social media famous.
Well, since we're talking about social media famous, I did start a ambassador program. And if you want to get signed up for the Creators Game Ambassador Program, go to beyondpride.com, Creators Game Ambassador Program. That's literally what it's called. Go search it right now. There's actually been 103 youth sign up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's a lot of them were from the remember how we did the tournament there? Or what tournament were we at?
Confederacy?
Yeah, the Confederacy tournament there in Ashwegan there. I had that thing up there, and all those kids were scanning that code. That's what it was for. It was to win prizes, but also to be part of our ambassador program, where basically I want to give some kids some free gear. You can wear the gear, take pictures of the gear, share it on Instagram, tell your friends about it, help us grow the game, help us grow the podcast. You can have these shirts, be just like us and try to grow this thing. That's the ambassador program. And so we're just talking about media and highlight reels. And one of the things I want to do with that is I want these some of these youth, some of these players who are like really good to be sending some reels and stuff so we can play them on the back here. And you guys ever seen that show Rob Deirdrick or whatever?
Oh yeah, yep, I know.
Where he kind of like they play bloopers or whatever.
Yep. Him and the other, the girl and the two guys.
Yeah. I want to do something like that. We can do it here, but basically we can play, anything like U17 and under, because we don't. The juniors already got enough exposure, but we U17 and under. If you guys got some reels, send it to us. I'll put a link in the description on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not. And we'll play some reels, and we'll just sit around and we'll be like, yeah, this player's good. Try to get them.
What kind of reels you want though?
I want them of like goals.
Goals?
Yeah, goals. I want their whole game. Like if you're a face-off guy and that's what you want to do, then send your face-offs. If you're like, no, I just want to like. Or if you're a goal scorer and if you're just a big trickster out there, show me all your tricks. Whatever it is that you think you can do. That's what I'm looking for.
Sounds cool.
And so far we've had 103, I believe. So we're trying to get that up there, and I'm going to be emailing all you guys and send out some gear and stuff like that. But that takes a lot of time. I'm trying to grow this. I'm trying to get some staff here. Me and Vale were talking about that. We need people to help sell some shirts at the games and
Definitely.
stuff like that. Because I'm up in the DJ booth. And
And I'm not available all the time. You know that.
I know.
Yeah, like I said, if you're willing to help out, just reach out to Daya here, and he'll set it up for you and get you part of the team.
But what else is going on in the lacrosse world?
There was a fun thing I seen today. I was Dan Aristia. He does a lot of Twitter stuff, and he posted the 10 guys that led the Carolina Chaos in scoring in 2023, and it was guys like Josh Burns, Dean Smith, and a couple of his son's friends, Chase Frazier, Colucci, Ty Kurtz, who's now playing Senior A for New Westminster, and I was like, 7 of these guys are not even in the league anymore and playing senior box lacrosse. And he liked the tweet, and then he even wrote like, he's like, and only Shane Jackson's the only guy still in PLL, but he's on another team. Shane Jackson's with New York Atlas this year, and the other 2 guys aren't even in the league. So talk about turnover of a team, or even just a league losing 7 guys that were top scorers on a team. Ryan Smith, he was another guy that was a part of that squad.
Well, it's I was talking with a guy that played in the NLL, took a year off last night, and there's rumor. I don't know how true it is. It'll probably be me that's spreading the rumor. Now that I've said that, and I really don't care. But there's talk that, I don't know whether it'll be OLA or Lacrosse Canada, but the rumor is MSL teams and probably WLA teams, they're going to be limited to a number of NLL players per team. They're going to be allowed to sign now.
See, and like you said, that's crazy, because I understood they were trying to say Senior B because it was more of the years, not even so much OLA teams, right? But all those Aqui teams and stuff having, the Muskies and the Bucks that year had all-star rosters, whereas, they had Evans, they had Theed, they had tons of guys, and they were more or less trying to push those guys back to Senior A and then keep B the kind of feeder system leagues. The young guys can play and kind of grow the game. And so you think for A, like maybe I would watch less games if you're saying there's less pro guys. Like, we watch, and some of those games are interesting. Brooklyn and Owen Sound, and even Colberg last week, they had some guys that were kind of could be in the NL draft, but they were kind of younger teams and kind of more just kind of grooming their players for the future, where the Chiefs are obviously more of a star-studded team. But what are they doing there just by telling guys they can't play summer lacrosse pretty much?
Well, my thing is this. If you're going to limit the number of NLL players playing in MSL, then you have to expand the league to give these players more teams to play for. If you're going to limit the number of players, NLL players in Senior B, then you have to expand the league to give these players places to play.
Definitely.
Because these guys that are in the NLL and playing MSL, if those numbers get cut down per team, they're going to want a place to play. Is it a ploy for them to go back to PLL? I don't know.
They're going to Can-Am. It's lit over there right now.
That's fine, but when they get to the President's Cup, they'll only be allowed to have X amount still.
They'll make exceptions.
And like you said, is that Rabel?
And is that fair if they make exceptions?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Is that Rabel trying to talk to the leagues? Are they mad that a team like Six Nations, a native-owned team, is star-studded? And are they trying to? Is it just why is it a problem now? It wasn't in the '90s, right? It wasn't when Brampton had all their teams in the 2000s. How come after these last 3 years with the Chiefs that now it's an issue? And maybe we should, like we said before, Dane Smith's not going to go to Colberg. He'll go back to the Chaos, or these guys just won't play in the summer if they're not getting compensated. They'll go work camps and do one-on-one training and coach and make some extra cash, right?
Well, that's just it. You got to expand the league. You have to. If the Chiefs have, I don't even know how many NLL guys they got, but if they're going to cut it down to say 6, and say there's 15 guys, or even any team in MSL, if they got 15 NLL players and they cut it down to 6, and no, that's not the number. Again, as I said, this is only rumors. But where are those other 8 guys going to go?
And the Chiefs, that was their whole roster. Besides the APs, everybody's NLL. They have no non-NLL guy that's officially on the team kind of thing.
Exactly. So where are they going to go? Then the only other option is expand the league. I love that there's, it's a small league. Our Senior B is a small league. Senior C has the East-West division now. But without expanding the league, we want to grow the game. The governing body won't let the game grow.
Well, just sometimes you might not have the capacity to grow. So like let's think about like if let's take from a structure standpoint, the governing body doesn't have enough employees to actually grow. Maybe they don't have enough funding to grow. Maybe they don't have, and then again, I'm thinking more of an administrational thing. Like maybe they just don't have, yeah, like the capacity to grow. And like I don't even know what's going on with the didn't the commissioner of something just like resign or something like that?
So he did be free previously, but they just now announced it, which I thought was funny too. But also his daughter, I think, might run that account because she's a high. His daughter Colleen Grimes is higher up with OLA. So I don't know if just now they decided to make the press release because Jim Milligan from Peterborough became the commissioner months ago, unless it just now became official and that's why. But I'm not too sure.
Because yeah, like it's just like in any business. Sometimes it's like, yeah, we would love like in Beyond Pride, Project Pride. I would love to hire more. I would love to expand. I would love to grow. But sometimes you just don't have the time, don't have the capacity, don't have enough like-minded people to get in one room to have actually real communication of how it can work. And that's what's happening on Six Nations with all these teams. They don't really communicate, and all of the teams should work together and communicate because we're all trying to foster a great environment for our players so that they can all have the best experience and go out there and make their dreams come true. If that's not what we're all trying to do, then I don't know what we're trying to do. But we should all be communicating to do that one goal.
Well, like you said too, they're also all competing for the same sponsorships, the same dollars of the same, like you said, individuals. Whether it's a fundraiser or a personal sponsor of a friend, or doing the same similar fundraisers, right? Like you said, they're competing, not working together for the community.
Well, and the other thing too is after you get out of minor lacrosse, the junior teams, the senior teams, some are community owned, some are privately owned.
Yeah.
So a privately owned team doesn't have to follow what a community based team does as far as in this community. By OLA rules, they have to follow, but so honestly, if I don't think you need too many more office people to have the league expansion. I really don't.
One thing
You still like you have to think about it like how many people does it actually take to run minor lacrosse on Six Nations? You need a whole nother minor lacrosse and a whole nother community and a whole nother staff with the arena.
That's got nothing to do with the OLA offices.
No, but like because you need more communication. You know, more like at the end of the day, the more teams, the more arenas, the more players. You need more people in the admin building to actually manage all those different teams and accounts.
Not really.
I mean, then who's going to do it then?
That's what I'm talking about. The OLA does have the power to let them expand, to let MSL expand as a league, to let Senior B expand as a league. They have that. All you got to if a team puts in for expansion, the other teams in the league are the ones that vote on it. Because there's been expansion applications. Senior C is the only one in the last few years that has grown.
So it's that other teams are not.
I wouldn't even. You got to think logistics too. Like,
because that's what I mean. It goes back to the community. The community would have to put that team in and make the.
But that still has nothing to do with the capacity of the OLA running it. That's up to the community itself. There was a team put in for Senior B, just outside of Belleville. Logistically, from the rest of the teams in Senior B, that's still another long drive. Teams that are like Rivermen, Owen Sound. I mean, I can't answer for them, but logistically for me, do I want another 3-4 hour road trip east? Or why not let 2 or 3 teams in over there and have an east-west? Yes, it's on that community to put that team together and put that bid together, but that doesn't really affect the capacity of the OLA offices that run the OLA.
Okay. So it is a community thing, I would say then, right?
No, I don't think so.
How is it not a community thing? The community one who has to say, I want a team, right? So the community has to come together as one.
I'm talking about the league itself. You're talking about each community.
I'm saying that in order to expand, the community has to come together and put an expansion in. They have to say, we want it first.
And I'm saying it's up to the league to expand, to accept that. League itself. Yes, all the other teams have to agree, but the OLA also has the power to say, yes, we need to expand. We will take 3 teams this summer.
I know what you're saying. You're saying the league can overrule. Let's say if two
they overrule all the time.
Yeah, like you said, if there's 2 teams, I was hearing how one of the leagues, if 2 teams say no, then it's squashed. So you're just saying instead of 2 teams say no, it can be squashed. That league should say, hey, we need more teams in this league.
I mean, they could. You may have to change the constitution or whatever, but they could.
Yeah. Like you said, there's still a governing body that can kind of do that stuff.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. If they're going to limit the number of players that NLL players that can play in the MSL, then they have to expand the MSL as a league to give these players places to play.
Then one thing I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks, and like you said, teams are privately owned and stuff like that.
Some, yes.
What do you think of? It just seems like a lot of these teams think native teams have endless amounts of money. Maybe because one or two teams, you hear stories of how they all kind of either draft players from OLA, and then when they want to go back and play for their home community, that team's like, hey, I want 2 Woodies, or I want, you know what I mean? Hey, give me the case of balls kind of thing, but they want a decent amount of, they want a lot for that player. They kind of almost hold that player hostage and a lot of these teams, like maybe there is some teams in Akwi or maybe the Ganawage or maybe some teams around here that have money, but then the ones that don't almost get kind of suckered because they're like, hey, we don't have money like this team does, but they just assume because we're from here, we have all the money and we can just pay out the ass for these guys and stuff, right? What do you think of that?
Well,
probably happens to you guys, right?
A prime example is a certain player that was discussed on here before, and there was a mad amount attached to him, and he's never had any NLL experience yet. Is he getting paid? I don't know, but there is rumors about how much he was offered. Not saying he got it, but you're 100% right. It seems like any team that has an Indigenous affiliation, other communities automatically assume that, hey, they must have a lot of dollars to get these players.
Because you hear of guys, and I'm like, they never played for Brooklyn, never played for Oakville, but they somehow hold their rights, and every year sell them off, or Kohlberg sells guys off. And
I without saying any names, I can tell you that there was a player that we wanted, and then we were told the ridiculous amount the other team that had his rights wanted from us for him for his A rights and B rights. I'm like, his A rights have nothing to do with us. You can't charge us for his A rights. That doesn't affect us. We're not in the A league, but they still wanted us to pay a mad amount of money for both his A and B rights. He can keep his A rights. I don't care. We have players on our squad that play MSL for different teams other than the Chiefs because they have their A rights. We're fine with that. So why are you trying to sell me his A rights? Just keep his A rights. Let him play A for you guys as well, because if it reclasses, then he can AP up. It's not a big deal. But you're right. They wanted an obscene amount of money from the Rivermen. We're a lunch pail, blue collar, hardworking team. We have no wallet.
Are you allowed to put a number on that? Like obviously you guys didn't take it or whatever. So like, can you be like, oh yeah, like they wanted, I don't know, $5,000. I don't know. I'm just throwing a number out there.
I'll just agree with you on that.
Oh, no. I'm not like Vale. What'd you say, Vale? $75,000 a game?
Hey, it was this.
You put a lot of respect on some people's name, yo.
But yeah, and like I said, I thought it was a stupid amount too. I was just saying that was the ridiculous amount that people were saying, and I was just like, hey, and that's where I was more like flabbergasted at the amount of knowing that it's real, right? Like, and hey, that guy's been doing good for them. So
I actually got a call. Hey, heard your guy saying you're getting paid $75,000 a game.
I
doesn't know what he's talking about.
Like I said, I thought it was an NIL. I know they're putting the cap on that too, though, right? They're trying to make us putting a cap on college sports. And I think, too, it's ridiculous. I saw a spoof TikTok of this guy, how he transfers back and forth from South Carolina to Ohio State. He's been in college for 6 years, and each year goes back and forth between the two colleges. I was like, no way. That's where you used to not be able to, right? You transfer Division I lacrosse, you could transfer. I don't know if it's because it's not that moneymaker basketball in colleges, where they used to, if you wanted to go from Virginia to, let's say, like Penn State, you could transfer once and not have to sit out where you would in the major sports, but now you can transfer as many times as you want. And then those NIL deals have these quarterbacks. Let's say the guy from Vanderbilt said he got offered $4.6 million just to leave Vanderbilt, but he didn't take it because he felt bad. He's played for that school for a long time. And like I said, just the craziness of college lacrosse. I was like, I thought playing in the summertime doesn't matter, right? You could just say your name, image, likeness.
What's everyone's thoughts on the Rebels and Arrows? We haven't talked about them yet.
As a whole, or just this season?
Oh, the season so far.
I've only made a few games, but the Rebels seemed to have ran into a lot of penalty and suspension trouble throughout the season. So kudos to them for getting to where they're at right now. Vale said earlier they just swept Hamilton. It to me it just seemed weird with that scheduling though, because they're a half an hour away. They're down Highway 6, but to have them play 3 games in 3 nights, that seemed a little odd to me. So I went first. I had mentioned it at that game the other night on Friday night at the Rebels game. I said, "What is their time frame to get this series done? Like, what's the hurry?" Yeah, if it's a 5 game series, you usually get 7-8 days, but why so quick? They Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, you usually let them have a rest in between game 1 and 2, but for whatever reason. But I mean, I know I'm not complaining, but is there a time constraint on all these series now? Because some of them just started like last night.
And I thought too of like because they finished the regular season playing the Friday Sunday versus Hamilton, it just seemed like they almost played a 7 game series in a short amount of time versus
Yeah.
having to play those last 2 regular season games and then.
But I hope
And
that
then the
they
Rebels.
I hope they got their penalty and suspension issues worked out, and hope the Rebels have pretty smooth sailing. And I got to give shout outs to players like Chazzy Hill. We've had we had one brother on, but Chazzy seems to be following right in the footsteps of his older brother Vern, Rossi, Thunder. He's doing big things. Ryder played quite well. Did Ryder have issues in game 2? I saw they put Connor Waller in.
Yeah, I'm not too sure really what happened there. If it was
Yeah, so I believe that
penalty
he
or hurt.
I think that like he came off after the first period or something like that. I think after the first period they switched. Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah.
Well, I mean, shout out to Connor for going in cold and
Or actually no. I think Ryder got a suspension or got thrown out the game or something like
Yelled
that.
at the ref, right?
Yeah, he yelled at Mitch. He yelled at Mitch. I remember that now. Everyone was yelling at Mitch that game. Leave him alone. I think he's great.
Here's the thing, though. Ryder and Mitch are related.
I'm sure they're all related. Everyone's
they
related.
Are. They're close related.
Yeah.
But irregardless, shout outs to Connor Waller. He went in cold. From what I hear, the Rebels were losing at that point, and Connor went in and battened down hatches and got the W. So shout out to Connor Waller. I mean, it's a shame if Ryder did get any kind of hefty suspension, because Ryder's been on the show. He's pretty cool, calm, collected. I've watched him play. I've watched him walk around the arena. People have their opinions of him as a person. But if you go up and say, "Hey, Ryder, how you doing?" He's fine. He's cool. He's calm. He talks to you. He had concussion issues towards the end of the season last year. He had incident in playing hockey and everything. So, every time I see him, I always say, how's things? Are you good? I guess Ryder is just one of those people that give off an aura, but very approachable kid. Great parents. His parents are phenomenal. But he does get heated. I'll give him that. He gets heated on the floor, whether it's in a good way or a bad way. He gets heated. He gets heated when he's playing. He turns it up. He's on. He's on the money. But if he gets heated and when he's angry, things like this happen.
Yeah, I can see that. I was there for all the games, and I can see that, when he's hot, he's hot. But when he's down, you can see it get to his head. You can see the way he moves, and he starts fidgeting. He starts walking around, checking the net more than he needs to check it. He just starts pivoting and walking around more than he needs to. You can tell he feels maybe out of place in that moment or something like that. When he's not like on hot or when he's not on fire or something like that.
Yeah, but every goalie goes through stuff like that, though. I mean,
Yeah, and what I've noticed for the Rebels, and I've said this last pod too, is just that like the first period is kind of very slow, but then the second and third, they're golden.
Mm-hmm. Well, Friday when I went to watch him play, one little scuffle was at Jack Biro.
Yeah.
And slapping that guy in the headlock and was uppercutting him. I was like, there's old school fighting right there.
The person I was sitting next to was Chicky, and I said, "Did you think a Waterford guy would be fighting a Caledonia fight in this game?" And he's like, "I thought we were playing football versus each other." So I thought, but yeah, I thought too today. I was thinking, was this the first time since before COVID that all 3 junior teams had winning records, and the Rebels and Arrows having well above 500 records even?
Yeah. Yeah, and the Arrows, like they turned it around. They've turned it around something fierce.
Like I said, Thompson and Net, and then that Trayson Sunday, they kind of brought him in full time, and then Dale and John Hill. John Hill also inside of Lacrosse ranked him as a top 10 impactful freshman there for Division I Lacrosse. He played for Jacksonville. So
Joe, how about Joe Squire?
Yeah, Joe Squire, first year with them full time.
Joe Squire he's got hands. He's got soft hands. That guy.
I guess the guy they picked up from Hamilton, they're really looking for him to do good defensively. I guess he fit right into the team like a glove yesterday. He scored a goal. He plays D2 in North Carolina, and another last year player. Maybe bring some some of that overage kind of flavor to the team, kind of some grit.
Yeah, I think 93. I think is the number I was telling
Mm-hmm.
you about. The way he moves, like I feel like he grew up playing like soccer or something like that. He's got really fast like agility, like the way he's able to move. That guy.
The Trayston Sunday he's talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's fast out there. I don't know everyone's name. I wish they had their names on their jerseys. Only some of them do. Like Squire Hill, not Squire Hill. Yeah, John Hill, Snyder.
Dalen John Hill, yeah.
Some of them got names on their jerseys, but some of them don't.
What you call Becker?
Yeah, Blaze Becker, captain of the team. And
We talked about Blaze Becker early in the podcast eps. We talked about Blaze.
yeah, he's done really good. Even that tall chief, like you said, said he was a real tough defender, right? And
Yeah,
kind of getting
he's-
guys' faces.
Yeah,
and-
he's out. Yeah, players were walking by the bench, and he's like, I can't remember what he was saying. He's like, say something, just like antagonizing them. I was like, oh shit, like,
I thought too.
I like that guy.
A lot of those guys too, even playing college lacrosse, which is good for the Arrows because hey, they're staying fit all season, doing workouts and games and stuff like that. So coming in, you're not getting a guy just off the couch come springtime. They're getting guys that played all year and kind of are fresh and right in shape, ready to go. So and that was the thing. Maybe back in 2022, they were a lot of high school juniors or kids that were prep school. So now they're a bit older and second seed. That's why I think that game versus Orangeville should be pretty good on Wednesday.
Maybe I'll go just to see if the Orangeville Six Nations bubbles over.
So it's gonna be a whole vibe on Wednesday.
It's
You
gonna
better be there.
There's going to be a whole bunch of Rosie at
Maybe
the
I'll-
ILA this next
I
2
was
days.
I was gonna reach out and ask him if he wants to make a card trade. I'll have to.
You
Maybe,
should.
yeah, I was gonna. And then I was
Wait.
I wasn't even thinking about it last night. I was thinking more.
You got one of my cards?
I've
Want me
been
to
looking
sign
for a
that for
J
you?
Smith
You want me
card.
to sign that for you? I'll sign it for you.
The J Smith card.
Catch me after. I'll sign it.
Yeah.
What would you guys think if they made playing cards for us?
Why can't we make our own?
Well, yeah, I don't know why I say they. I don't know. I just assumed the NLL would do it, or so I don't know why.
It'll be pretty good. I seen on there was a whole Facebook group I just joined. It was like Lacrosse card collectors, and they just posted today the PLL cards come out again. So I'm still waiting for those NLL ones because I'll actually collect those a lot pretty good. And like because I've been looking too. I mean, I don't want to spend $50 on some of these guys. I spend that on like I spend $50 on a nice.
Disrespect.
No offense.
Disrespect.
No offense, right? But maybe
Yeah.
it just
No
seems.
offense, but offense.
It just seems the easy access to some of these
The
guys,
easy
right?
access.
Like I said, at the max,
So
you could chuck.
will you
If I
buy?
spent $50 on meth, you could chuck. I mean,
Would you buy a Dewey Jacobs card?
Dewey Jacobs? I told Dewey Jacobs there's Dewey Jacobs, there's Isaiah Thomas, and Barry Sanders, the 3 best ever Detroit pro athletes, and he just chuckled.
So you
As you're wearing that jersey.
Yeah.
so you'd buy a Dewey Jacobs
And he
card.
still didn't.
He's like, I already have it.
I busted my helmet and I told him I needed a Chiefs one. He just laughed too. I'm like, geez, you just laugh all the time.
So
man. I
maybe you
need
better buy a Dallas Ilya account
Yeah,
card instead.
Definitely. What do you think of the Knighthawks? Do you think we kind of brought up, we were here that I heard that maybe the Knighthawks and Philly were looking for new ownerships, and then the fact that today it came up that the
Yeah.
Knighthawks are.
Basically, come up Rochester Knighthawks, or if they don't find new ownership, they're going to fold up. Here's my thing: there is dollars in this community. Why don't they buy the Rochester Knighthawks? Move them to say London at the Canada Life Center or whatever that arena is called. It's big enough.
That'd be pretty cool. Can you call them in the Oneida something or others?
Oneida something else?
Yeah. Oneida Wolves? I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, I'm putting it out there. It's something to think about. There is an NLL team that is looking for new ownership. I know there's a lot of logistics you got to consider. Do they have to stay in Rochester? Can you move them? Similar stuff Kurt went through when he took the Rochester Knighthawks years ago. But I think another NLL team in southwestern Ontario would be great for the game, because now you're tapping into fans Sarnia, Wallaceburg, Windsor, London. You're tapping into fans that area. I think it would sell out. If the Toronto Rock or the Hamilton Rock or whatever the hell they're called can play in that arena in Mississauga that only holds 4,000 people, there's no reason an NLL team can't move to London and play in that Canada Life Arena, because that's where the London Knights play. So if it's big enough for an OHL team, it's big enough for an NLL team. And having said that, they're going to be building a new arena in Brantford. If they can put an NLL team in that arena in Mississauga, they can put one in the Civic Center until that other arena's built.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. How many people fit in the Civic Center?
What is it seated like 3,700?
I would rock that out for a year. Like, you
Well,
know,
it might have to be a couple till the other arena's built.
well, yeah, like,
But potentially that other arena in Brantford, talks with city officials I had last year, it's supposed to be a 14,000 seat arena.
At least at the Civic Center going to those two Warriors games, it seems like they get a good crowd, but then also because it is so big, right? It's pretty spread out. Somebody's sitting way at the other end, right? So
they have a really good crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would say 150, 200 people,
Mm-hmm.
and like it doesn't look like that because again it's so spread out.
Yeah.
But it's a good crowd.
I was thinking like the parking lot maybe even a little bit filler, but even somebody I was sitting with last game was like, "Oh, the players drive themselves." So I was like, maybe that's why too. It seems like the parking lot's a little more packed, but
Well,
like I said,
then
yeah, good crowd for sure. Like especially spread out, nice arena.
You could park out back too, but the casino is right there, and they get the overflow. The Civic back parking lot behind the Civic Center gets the overflow from the casino. So another selling point.
Did Onondaga Senior be fold after this weekend of forfeiting the games?
No. So what I was told was they had some graduations going on, and some players weren't able to attend, and there was just a lot of. They forfeited the games. That was all. It's not like they folded, from what I understand. It was just a matter of there's a lot going on.
I would almost say like for Can-Am, I know it's tough if the one team just really isn't like they not showing up a lot of guys to the Allegheny and Newtown and then had a forfeit here. Maybe just roll out the 4-game playoffs, right?
Well,
playoffs instead
now
of
we're
5.
talking about Can-Am. What about them? What about Allegheny and Newtown? That was an upset.
Mm-hmm.
It was. It was. I was pretty surprised, but I mean, in Newtown's defense, they did get Ron, John, and DeHoga for that game. I watched the game. Seemed like there was adjustments had to be made. They had to get used to playing with these guys, but Allegheny had a shocking loss, and then Newtown coming off that big win rolls into the Grand River Warriors territory and got beat. Warriors beat them.
Mm-hmm.
So give it to Can-Am. There's a lot of twists and turns in the dramatics of the league itself. There's I don't think anybody could write a script with that many twists and turns, but it's good for the league.
Well, even when the Six Nations Fire was getting killed in that Tonawanda, and that announcer was like, "Well, Tonawanda's not playing like a 1-4 team tonight, guys." They were like, because they were up like 10-2 or whatever.
The announcer said that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And like I said, Can-Am, like Grand River Warriors just got Firth, Albany player, and like I said, each team's kind of. It seems to me more of the NLL players are playing in Canada, maybe where the sponsorships are. I don't know, like where like there's each team pretty much has almost like their 3 guys. It seems like, right?
Yeah. Do you think that like Newtown just got Tahogo on there? Do you feel that he's giving his best out there? Because like if you look at the score sheet, he's not like scoring 101 points. However, he should be.
Should he be?
You would think.
I think it gets tough too. We're kind of watching that. Like he was working with some new guys, and then it's also when you go from working with Dean Smith and Josh Burns to maybe Joe Blow, it's a little tougher, right? You know what I mean? Or even you're hearing those other guys with maybe some of the same terminology some players aren't used to, or that they use on an NLL team and system. So,
well, when a player like that comes in late to a team, a lot of those guys are used to playing with each other, and then you bring in somebody like that of that caliber. Now, does the game plan suddenly change? Is it just give him the ball, or does it disrupt the team and they say, well, just because you're so and so, I'm not gonna just give you the ball? I don't know. There's so many dynamics that happen when players like that come in. Allegheny's a prime example. Their NLL guys finally showed up. They hit a slump. I'm not blaming the Allegheny core team. I'm not blaming Klutz and Fraser for coming in, but is it coincidental that they hit a slump since those guys came in? Is it coincidental that Newtown is a roller coaster right now with their NLL guys getting there? Because you also got to remember they brought in two of the Scanlons. On paper, they should be rolling over everybody. I get it. Allegheny should too. And Allegheny just had another loss on Friday night.
Is that who Tonawanda played?
Yeah. So is there dissension in the ranks on each bench? Is there arguments on each bench? Is there unhappiness? I really don't know. But these two teams seem to have hit a funk, and Grand River Warriors have seemed to have found their stride all at the same time.
Like you said,
Tonawanda's found their stride now.
Seems like a 4-horse, like the four teams out of the 5, but Onondaga, not counting them as much, but those 4 teams are pretty locked in right now. Maybe it could be interesting playoffs and anybody's game, right?
If playoffs were to start right now, it would be Tonawanda versus Grand River and Newtown and Allegheny.
Yes, those are.
That would be your playoff matchups right now. And Grand River's proven they can run with anybody right now.
They beat Tonawanda at home, right, already.
Yeah.
They did lose both out there when they were shorthanded, but did win at home, so.
Yeah. I hear you. So if Can-Am were to start playoffs right now, but I don't think those standings are going to change much. Tonawanda, Allegheny may go back and forth fighting over first and second. But I think those 4 teams where they're sitting is pretty much locked.
And like we said, too, of getting to the ILA for these next 2 games, Tuesday and Wednesday. But, right, this weekend, go see Allegheny. You get to hear Dad, spin the tunes. And, right, you're going to see some 2 good Bandits players, hopefully, if they show up. And then
hopefully if they show up. What a thing to say.
Right.
Hopefully if they show up. Come on, Bill. You were on a roll there.
Well, like I said, I don't want to say, hey, I want my money back, because Chris Vale told me that Kuche and Frazier here, and they're not. Well, going to the last game, I was like, I would get to see DeHoga and Ron John, and then Ron John didn't play, but at least DeHoga played, so I was like, at least one of the 2 guys I came to see are playing. And then they have Firth, right, from Albany, if he's in the lineup, so for Warriors.
And my son Lane's playing for Allegheny.
Yep.
I'm not even going to get to see either of these games because I'm on the road with the Rivermen both games.
Where do you go, Brooklyn or Owen Sound this time?
I got to go to Hamilton Friday night and Brooklyn Saturday.
Is Allegheny a Friday or is it a Saturday? I can't remember.
Both.
Oh, yeah, they have 2 games.
So it's Friday and Saturday. Gotcha. I was forgetting, too. I'm thinking of, because Onondaga was the Saturday, Sunday.
You forgot a lacrosse
No,
issue?
but there you go. That's way better. Yeah, I'd rather do the Friday night. Yeah, at least I know I'm doing Friday
he just
night.
mind tricked us there. I don't know how he came back from that one.
Well, because
he just looking off into the distance.
This would be their first Friday game, right? The Warriors. I know they played Sunday, Saturday, and then this weekend was supposed to be Saturday, Sunday. So I forgot they were able to play the Friday night. So I know what I'm doing Friday night.
Right on.
Coming to Hamilton to watch Rivermen.
Yeah,
right? See?
That was the real minder there.
How was the game the other night?
Well, we had almost 2 weeks off. We gave our practice time away to the Arrows. Had last weekend off, so we didn't have a game until yesterday in Innismore. One of the things that stuck out for me was a speech that Coach Timmy Bumbury had said, and he had said, make sure we play our game, and the greatest respect we can show an opponent is to give them our best game, to show them that we respect them, so we're bringing our best. And I mean, the scoreboard said it. We won 19-2. We have a stats guy that keeps track of our shots and everything, goals. And after the first period, we had 36 shots, and we were only up 4-2. After the second period, it was 14-2, and we had 75 shots, according to our stats guy. On game sheet, it says 68 shots, but I know we had more than that. At the end of the game, I asked him, I said, how many shots did we have that period? And he kind of chuckled and said, I'm really bad at math. Let's just say 99. But I think we had more than 99 shots. But Innismore goalie, I think his last name is George. He played the first 2 periods and a little bit of the third, and he took a high shot and got hurt, and they pulled him and put their other goalie in. But I mean, shout out to that goalie for facing that. I mean, both goalies for facing that many shots and letting in 19 combined goals. But I mean, that their starting goalie, I think his last name was George. Phenomenal. Like, we gave him mad kudos. We were cheering for him, and he would make saves on us, and we were cheering for him because he was good. He got a few times he got picked apart, but I mean, that's the nature of the game, right? You go there to win, but still, that goalie put on a show.
Yeah, and it's always good when it's especially like when you got a goalie that's really good. It makes you more excited when you get a goal.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
You're like, I finally got one. I've been trying all game, and this goalie's been shutting me down. So like when you have a good goalie in net, it just makes you feel better that it's a higher standard of achievement when that goal goes in.
And shout out to a previous guest, Thunder Hill. I think he netted 6. They gave him credit for 5, but he scored 6.
What's he average a game? Just like 3-4 goals?
he goes on mad runs. Like against Collingwood, he had 7, but he now leads the league in scoring. So, I mean, shout out to Thunder. He's first-year senior, leading the Senior B loop in scoring.
We got to get him on the show again.
Phenomenal little guy. He, I had a lot of long talks with him last night. Rossi's back. Rossi was out with an injury. Rossi's finding his footing again. So, and the guys that play with him, our offense is a little bit younger. They complement each other pretty good. Davin Bunbury on the right side. Him and Thunder played together in junior. Anahali Stockstater, he's right up there in scoring now too. Greg Elijah Brown's back from Syracuse. He's ripping it up again. So, yeah, it's a nice problem to have with an offense like that. We do have another offensive surprise coming in, Chris, that'll be unveiled soon. No pun intended.
Friday night, or what are you thinking?
I guess you'll have to come and see.
We'll have to check it out.
Well, see, I guess he's not going to the Allegheny Grand River game. He'll be in Hamilton.
Ooh,
I'll catch the Grand River on Saturday.
on Saturday. Is it?
Yeah, Brooklyn's a bit of a drive. It's okay if you miss that one, Chris. I won't feel bad.
But what other games are going on this week? I know that Arrows play this Wednesday. They have they're playing Orangeville, right?
Yep.
This Wednesday's Orangeville, Warriors.
And then the Orangeville matchup is 1 versus 2 on Wednesday. So.
Yeah. Tuesday's Chiefs and Peterborough. So, like it said earlier, there's going to be a lot of Rosie at the ILA this week.
And also, too, that's
Will it be safe at the ILA for you?
Why wouldn't it be?
Will it be safe for me and Vale? I don't think anyone's safe off of me and Vale.
Everybody loves you guys. You guys are fine.
Alrighty.
Also, too, it's the only time Peterborough comes to the ILA besides potentially any playoff matchups. The Chiefs go out there again one more time, but this is their one and only time at the ILA.
Yeah, we don't know when the Rebels are going to start. Like you said earlier, they're waiting for their next opponent. The Stealth.
See, they play Orangeville. That's who they're playing, which I was surprised. Their Stealth are actually ranked ahead of Orangeville in the junior senior standings.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Well, that's good for the Stealth.
Yeah, it was like I think they were 9-7 around that, and the other guys were like 8-8, something. That was like something around like they were both around that, hovering around that 500 mark. Just Burlington was, and the 1 seed was well above 5.
And then the Fire have 5 games left, 4 of which are home games. They just acquired a new goalie. The things are looking up for them as well. Grand River's 2 home games this weekend. Rivermen are on the road for two games. So there's a lot of lacrosse this week coming up.
Yeah, we got a busy week ahead of us, and we have a little event that we're going to on Thursday. You guys excited for that? For you guys who don't know, we're going to a super cool gala. It is for NEPAM called the Knights of Champions, and we're gonna go there and represent Project Pride, and as an employer, and talk about some of the cool things that we're gonna do in this community. And how you guys feel about that? Get to suit and tie events and different things like that.
Well, like I said earlier, I finally get to wear my suit to something other than a wedding or a funeral. So
you got the slim fit or you got the baggy fit?
I got the pimp fit.
Oh, baggy then.
Sure.
Is it purple?
My old one was.
I could see you wearing purple.
Okay, how about this? I'll wear a black suit and orange ostrich skin cowboy boots. Best I can do on short notice.
It might work for that demo there. I don't know. They might be into that.
Let's hope so.
What are you wearing, Vale? You can't wear your 2024 Man Cup shirt. You cannot wear it.
Yeah. I'll get a dress shirt and some slacks. And like I said,
slacks.
Looking for
You just started to a Walmart
like said,
on the way.
It'd be cool to, see some fans and maybe make some new fans of the pod and kind of, like you said, grow the business opportunities we can help each other out in.
Yeah, those events are always awesome to go up and talk about. You can, outside of lacrosse, you can talk about, all of the business ventures that you want to do, what you want to do with your career, your life, family, anything you want, stuff like that.
Chris, go home tonight, watch Monday Night Raw, show up Thursday dressed like Seth Rollins.
Are you a big wrestling guy?
No, I was never really that. Like, I like wrestling a little bit, but I haven't actually been as huge into it.
The only reason why I brought it up is because somebody had messaged me before and told us we should mention Pat McAfee, WWE commentator, has his own podcast. He's the one that got talking about lacrosse after the Bandits won. So, I mean, if he can bring it up and start helping grow the game as well, why not give him a shout out?
I've been a big fan of Pat McAfee. Like you said, he even had Chase Frazier on, and like you said, showing the highlights. And I thought it was funny. We were talking about that college I was talking about earlier, the NIL deals and everything. Whoever is now trying to head that was a former employer of MLB baseball, and Pat said MLB baseball is one of the worst run leagues. He said even the NL and PL are run better than Major League Baseball. So I was like, I don't think he was giving it a shot, but hey, it was cool hearing a guy be like, oh, the NL and PL, I bet you even run better than.
Shots fired right at the end of the pod.
To avoid legalities, it was Pat McAfee that said it,
yeah,
not Chris Vail.
Pat McAfee's thoughts, and like I said, yeah, he's another guy grew the brand, right? Went from being a punter to he's everywhere. So we got to get him out of game. He talked about going to some Boston place in Niagara Falls, getting his team pitcher and pizzas at Boston Pizza. So we'll tell him, hey, we'll bring you to Boston Pizza in Brantford and come to LA for some games. Maybe even this weekend we'll get you to meet up with Chase Frazier. We'll get the Warriors to fly you in from.
We'll get the Warriors. All right, that's enough of this episode. What are you talking about? All right, guys, you got to be tuned in next week. That was episode 34 of the Creators Game Podcast. Till next week, we're out of here. Peace.